Good evening. This is Professor Lewis with the Week 7 edition of Introduction to Public Safety Administration. So I'm finally back home in my home in Maryland, and certainly it's good to be back home after 10 days on the road, 5 in Alaska and 5 in Alabama. So certainly always good to be back home. So I've been able to keep up with everything that you've posted. I certainly enjoyed many of the postings that from week 6 that you posted relative to the topic of ethics. And as many of you related, the world of ethics has kind of changed. A lot of that is public perceptions of what public safety fixtures or public fixtures at ours, or even anybody in a high stature position has changed. And certainly we have to be aware of that. And there's been a lot of bad press relative to people who have crossed the line, and we see that on a recurring basis in that. And so also social media, of course, cameras are always watching. I think a couple of you have observed. So certainly the world has changed, and we have to be cognizant of that as public safety administration professionals, that we have to answer to those charges by the public. So certainly enjoyed the many readings that you all put in. Many of you had a little bit of outside research with some postings that I really liked those articles, and may use some of those articles in a future class. I thank you for doing that little bit of extra research and putting those posted links up there. Also talked about, what about using computers and doing things on work time that may be school related, may be personal related? Is that stealing time? Is that a violation of ethics? And there was a mixed response to that, and some of that has to come from type of job you're in. Some people that are firefighters, where they have a lot of downtime in between calls. May not be really stealing, but what if you're in a position that expects you to do 8 hours work for 8 hours pay? Is doing a little bit of personal work or school work considered stealing? Is that an ethical violation? And I really kind of, given the free coffee or discounted coffee to firefighters and police officers, there was some good response there too. Most of you felt that it was good to have that. But I always got to be aware that when somebody's giving you something free, or they asking for something there, turn your back to something they may be doing, code violations or things like that, or a little bit extra scrutiny if you're a police officer. So we always have to be aware of those kind of things. So some great responses in week 6, and I encourage you to continue. Week 7, we're starting to roll down to the final 2 weeks. Week 7, we talk about politics and risk. How do politics affect public safety? How do they impact your ability to implement policy? Is your policy affected by political influence, or is it designated clearly by law? So there's a couple readings there, and I'm going to let you off a little easy this time. There's only one discussion topic in the weekly discussion forum for week 7. Because I know most of you will be winding down and kind of work getting that last paper, that short little executive briefing paper. Remember, that is due at the end of this week, at the end of week 7. Also remember that I do require that those be scanned through Turnitin. If it's not scanned by Turnitin, I will not grade it. I've got at least a couple papers on the research paper that I still have not graded because people have not complied with the requirement to scan it with Turnitin. So you got a pretty easy week ahead. Let's look one jump forward to week 8. Week 8 will be our final week. There won't be any readings or any discussion topics, because that's the week you'll complete your final exam. Final exam will go up on the early part of the week, as it always has. It has to be in by the end of the week. There are 3 questions that you got to write some short essay responses to. Kind of think ahead. Those responses will probably be somewhat in the same fashion as the weekly discussion topics have been. So if you've been following along with the weekly discussion topics and keeping up with that, you should be able to easily complete the final exam that is due in that week. So with that said, I'm going to sign off short now. This is Professor Lewis with the week 7 edition, and we'll see you in the discussion forum.